Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Wrestle Elite. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. It is your host, the Marc Cologne. I am here to talk about professional wrestling, WWE, AEW, the Royal Rumble, and so much more. Yes, that's right, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get this show started. Let's get this show underway. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. We have a really, really good show for you today. An action-packed show, to say the least, where we will be discussing the events of um of the Royal Rumble, of AEW, what's been going on in AEW, what's been going on in WWE, who has Roman Reigns chosen, what's next for Liv Morgan, and so much more. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Marc Cologne. I'm happy to be here with you guys once again. Man, it's been a while. It's been a while, but man, I'm not gonna lie. I'm not even gonna lie to you guys. I've been super busy. And I know what you're saying. Well, you're throwing a football podcast out there. I'm not gonna lie. The football podcasts are easier to put out there. Like for wrestling, I have to get so much information, and I'm kind of used to doing this with somebody else, and you know, Chris is on the hiatus right now, so it's me. I gotta I gotta lock in. But it's all good, man. It's all good. Everything's good though. Just super busy. And just working my tail off. I can't wait. We got so much stuff we want to tell you guys, but that's gonna come. That's gonna come in due time. Right? I'm honestly, I'm not rushing it at all. I'm like waiting. I'm like, okay, you let me know. That's kind of where we're at right now. But life is good. Life is good. Life is amazing. I'm not even gonna lie to you guys. Life is super dope right now. It's just it's good. It's just good, dude. Like you guys don't understand like what we've had to go through to get to this point, right? In AEW, where you have like AEW, WWE, like the Royal Rumble, I thought was pretty good. I thought it was okay. I mean, I thought there could have been a better crowd. Yeah, absolutely. I think we all thought that, right? But hey, it is what it is. We'll take what we got and we'll keep rolling with it. But but yeah, man, we got a busy show for you guys today. My goodness, I cannot wait to talk about all this stuff. Action packed. It's action packed. Um, but yeah, let's talk about the Royal Rumble. Let's talk about it, people. The Royal Rumble. So this was very interesting for me because the Royal Rumble, I thought in a sense was pretty decent. I thought it was pretty good. For the most part, like I know other people have different opinions on it. We obviously seen WWE play the safe route and kind of just say, okay, this is the safest thing we can do. Let's do it, right? I kind of feel like that's kind of what they did and what they wanted to do. Which I mean, at the end of the day, I don't think it's necessarily the worst thing in the world to be like, hey, you know what? We're gonna play the safe route. We think this is the best thing for our team. Let's do it. Like I don't necessarily think that's the worst thing in the world. I know other people have different opinions about it. Um, but in my opinion, this is just solely mine. I just don't think it was that bad of a deal for Roman Reigns to win the Royal Rumble, right? Like obviously, I think we all agreed like Liv Morgan winning it. I think we think like that was, yeah, she absolutely should have won it. I mean, there's always gonna be somebody, but you can't really like pay attention to them trolls on the internet. Like, just don't pay attention to them, because if you do, they They'll get you. Trust me. They will get you. They've gotten me plenty of times where I'm like, ugh, and then I'm like, I see what you did. Yep, I see what you did. You snooze ball. Yeah, you grease ball. Yeah, you know. But no, in all, honesty, like at the end of it all, like um I think we're kind of in a very good spot to kind of say the least. With WWE, like again, I don't think it's necessarily terrible that they did play the safe route. Um, they could have took a more dangerous route and went with somebody else like a Braun Breaker. But then again, you see, he's injured now. He's going to be back for the Royal Rumble. That's what they're saying. But like, what if he would have gotten injured and then he wouldn't have been for the Royal Rumble? And who knows? We don't really necessarily know if he will be back for the Royal Rumble. So I mean, sorry, for WrestleMania. Wow, Royal Rumble, yeah. But like at one point during the lead up to the Royal Rumble, I was like, oh yeah, I absolutely believe 100% that Braun Breaker it's going to be Braun Breaker or it's going to be Roman Reigns, right? That was kind of my feeling on it, and then obviously I was proven wrong. I was proven to look like an idiot, which I'm okay with. I am 100% okay with being that guy looking like the idiot. Sometimes, not all the time. Sometimes, but I don't know. It's very touch and go because again, this could have ended in so many different ways. But I think it was smart that WWE did play the safe route. I'm kind of surprised Roman chose so fast too of who he was going to face. That was a little alarming to me. Because I thought like Triple H saying, yeah, we don't know when we'll see Roman and all this other stuff. It's like, okay, well, yeah, maybe he's gonna take his time. Maybe he's gonna wait to see what happens with Drew McIntyre, Cody Rhodes, Jacob Fatu, right? But I guess that's not the route, right? At least for WrestleMania, right? Maybe next year's WrestleMania we get Roman and Cody, right? Maybe at SummerSlam. Not I would have. They don't really do them big title matches for Survivor Series, so I'm not gonna say Survivor Series. What's another event? Royal Rumble, maybe you could do it. You could do it at the Royal Rumble, yeah, sure. I don't. I think it'd probably be like a SummerSlam or WrestleMania for those two. But yeah. This is where we're at, people. This is where we are at. Oh my goodness. And I can't wait to hear everybody's thoughts on it. Also, Soruka, Lash Legend, and Javon Evans, they shine. They absolutely shine. And obviously, Soruka still doing her thing in NXT, right? Which I think she's killing it. I think she's gonna be like one of the next top stars. Like she's the next, like, not to say Liv is almost done, but she's the next Liv Morgan. Like she gives off those vibes of just like, yeah, we don't see it now, but with the right character development and the right story, yeah, she can do wonders in WWE, right? Lash Legend, my goodness, ever since she got called up, she's been on the tear. She's been on the tear, and we've seen it. We've seen it in the Royal Rumble. We've been seeing it for a while though, but the Royal Rumble really showcased it, which I thought was very good, especially for her. eventually, right, when if they ever do like Nia versus her, Jade versus her, Bianca versus her, like you can do some really good matches with Lash Legend. I don't think necessarily a lot of people seen this coming from Lash. I think she maybe manager, right, or maybe she was gonna be like an afterthought, right? And no, it's been some really good stuff from Lash. Um, Especially, once they kind of like, okay, we're gonna start using Lash. We might have something here. Um, so I do love that. And then Javon, right? Javon, he hasn't been in WWE that long. He gets called up. I think he was like in NXT for like a year or two. No, definitely like 2 or 3 years for sure. And he gets called up just the other day, and he shines in the Royal Rumble, right? And for a second, people, it looked like he might not be a part of it because of an injury. But hey, he's a part of it. Yeah, he's a part of it. Yeah, and he really shined. My goodness, Obafemi's another one, but I don't think Oba was necessarily the MVP. Did they make him look like $1,000,000? Absolutely. Until like, when Brock Lesnar came in, it was like, oh, okay, Brock, why aren't you taking take a bump from Ilya? Like, don't do that, bro. Like, what are you doing here? There were certain moments that it just they kind of rubbed me the wrong way, especially when Brock was in there. It was like, oh my goodness, what are we doing here, dude? But hey, look, I don't make the decisions. I'm not the disciplinary or anything like that. But if Brock was gonna do that, man, I would have never even have had him in the Rumble. Like, bro, sit this one out. You know what I mean? Like, because you're making it worse. You're making it worse. But he was going to be there regardless. Money grab, Saudi, all that. Braun Breaker gets attacked by a hooded character. I love the IWC. I truly do. I love them so much because for a moment they'll be like, oh, the only ones that do this, the hooded thing, are these Samoans. They're these Samoans, and we're sick of them, right? And I got some Samoan in me, so I take offense to that, guys. Like, I checked my entire DNA. I got some Samoan, I got some Indian, I got some Taino in me, people. I got some Spaniard in me too, right? I'm Puerto Rican. Hello, but I take some offense to that, guys. That's kind of rude, and people were saying that for a minute, and then Austin Theory shows up in like this hooded thing. It's like, oh wait, it's not just Samoans anymore. It's people that are trying to get a point across, trying to join the vision because they have a vision, right? And eventually it was like, okay, that's cool. And then another one that happened at Survivor Series, though. This one happens at the Royal Rumble. And at least from the internet, which they're not really real people. That's kind of everybody's favorite saying, and I love that saying. Yes, people on the internet are just not real people. They're not. They are absolutely not real people. They can't be at least. There's no way. I refuse to believe that anybody that hates this kind of stuff are real people on the internet. And then so that happens that the masked person as Braun Breaker is making his entrance at number 2, right? Because Obafemi's number 1, which I thought was a perfect spot. Because if it was anybody, like if Akira Tozawa was number 1 and Braun Breaker got beat down by this masked person, I don't necessarily think a lot of people would have believed that Akira Tozawa still would have been able to take him out. But since you had Obafemi in there, Oba was able to just easily just toss this dude out, and which I thought was absolutely amazing. I thought it was great. And it was an absolutely an amazing story, an amazing kind of moment, right? And we still don't know who the masked person is. I know Paul Heyman was like, that's Seth Rollins. That's Seth Rollins, and it's like, is it, Paul? Or is it one of your bastard plans, right? Right? Or was it Logan? Right? That's another name, but now, and I want to take everything to account. Ladies and gentlemen, just because on this past Raw, Austin Theory got attacked and Adam Pearce was out there, and Adam Pearce was out there, Logan Paul as well, that doesn't necessarily mean it's still not them, right? Like, WWE's been doing this. They will swerve you with these unique stories, right? And I'm interested in it. I really am. I'm very interested in it, and I cannot wait to see who the masked person is. I know some people are talking Chris Jericho as well. We didn't see him at the Royal Rumble, which was interesting to say the least, because I truly thought we would see Chris Jericho, and I thought number 30 was going to be like a surprise entrant, and then I was like, oh wait, I forgot Gunther hadn't shown up yet. Gunther hadn't shown up yet, and then I was like, oh yeah, number 30 is Gunther. Right. Okay. That's fine, whatever. I don't even care anymore. That's how it was. But yeah, then Roman Reigns eliminates Gunther. I would have loved to see Roman Reigns take one of Gunther's brutal chops. That would have been amazing. But yes, Roman Reigns eliminates Gunther, and Roman Reigns wins his second Royal Rumble. He wins his second Royal Rumble of his career. And yeah, now we already know who he's going to be facing at WrestleMania, as he has chosen that already. But we're not going to talk about that just yet. Liv Morgan as well won the Royal Rumble as she eliminated Tiffany Stratton to secure her WrestleMania opportunity. Now that was very interesting because it was Liv Morgan, Tiffany Stratton, and Sol Ruka. They were like the last ones in the Rumble, and I loved it. I loved that those were the last three, because I honestly think eventually Sol Ruka's gonna be in that picture where it's like, oh my goodness, Sol Ruka just won the Royal Rumble, right? Like we've seen. Well, Tiffany hasn't won the Royal Rumble. No, she hasn't. She won the Money in the Bank briefcase. But even Tiffany Stratton, eventually her time's going to come, and she's going to win the Royal Rumble. Same thing with Sol Ruka. It's inevitable, right? It's going to happen. Also, we've seen Drew McIntyre retain the undisputed WWE Championship against Sami Zayn, as we are on the road to WrestleMania. Now, this one was very interesting because a few days later, reports came out that, Sami Zayn really was trying to convince the brass of WWE, hey, come on, let me win this. Let me become WWE champion and take you on a ride that you haven't been on in a long time, especially these fans. Let me do the unthinkable right now in Saudi and become the undisputed WWE champion. Right? That doesn't happen. WWE was like, no. No. Now, these situations are always we got to be very cautious with them, because either they're very true or they're just not, and they're going to make a perfect thing for WWE unreal. But if it is true, That also can be. We also have to tread lightly, and so does WWE, because that could possibly mean that Sami Zayn is starting to become frustrated with his role in WWE. So that's another thing to kind of look at. And then Gunther defeated AJ Styles in a career on the line match, with the ring general locking in a sleeper hold to force the end of AJ Styles' WWE career. All right. So then we're gonna be talking about it a little bit later on in the show, because there's some updates on AJ Styles. He did have an interview with Stephanie McMahon talking about his future, and is he actually going to retire? You know what I mean? So absolutely some amazing stuff. And I honestly, I have a theory on this. Listen, I don't care what anybody says, and I get goosebumps when I talk about this. If you don't feel nothing when you think of the possibilities that AJ Styles can do in AEW, if that's what AJ Styles wants, dude, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. You WWE shills, right? You WWE marks, right? You can be all mad about it as much as you want. But if AJ Styles wants to go where the best wrestle and face Kenny Omega, maybe have a tag match against the Young Bucks or with the Young Bucks, face Hangman Adam Page, face Will Ospreay, Swerve Strickland, right? Like, I honestly, I don't care what anybody says. You are not telling me that when AJ Styles looks at some of the potential, AJ Styles versus Jay White, like, you're not telling me that AJ Styles doesn't look at this and say, like, he doesn't look at this like a dog looks at steak, like where the dog has foam dripping from his mouth, because he knows what can potentially happen if he were to make this move. Like, I'm not believing that that's not what's happening, and there's nothing in that really indicates, and unless everything's under the vest, there's nothing that really indicates that AJ Styles is actually going to go to AEW at the moment. But I would love it. I would be one of many to mark out. I would probably cry, because when Gunther retired him, I'm not gonna lie to you, I cried like a little girl. I did. I absolutely did, because I love AJ Styles, and that's not the way he should have ended his WWE career. Absolutely not. It's sickening. It's sickening that's how they wanted him to end his WWE career. And we'll talk about it more as the show goes on, because there's some information we have to get out as well. Some surprise appearances were Brie Bella. She made a shocking return in the Royal Rumble. She got an amazing pop. She might have gotten the biggest pop of the night, as far as like the I'll say for the women's. Like, it's always it's always touch and go. Like, you can be like, yeah and no, but I don't know. Brie Bella's pop was pretty loud, so she might have gotten the biggest pop of the night. Which, I mean, good for her. Absolutely amazing. We love that for her. Yes, absolutely. And then Royce Keys, right? We've seen Royce Keys debut in the Royal Rumble, right? Formerly known as Powerhouse Hobbs. Powerhouse Hobbs. Right? Huge fan, right? Former AEW star. His contract expired. He didn't renew it. He goes, there was rumors he's out with WWE. And lo and behold, what does this young man do? Well, there's reports now he's not so young. But that's for another conversation, another day. But this man, Powerhouse Hobbs, signs with WWE. He makes his debut at the Royal Rumble. And my goodness, he looked like $1,000,000. This man looked like $1,000,000 on a Sunday afternoon. And it wasn't even Sunday. It wasn't, and I love it. I wholeheartedly, dude, it was perfect. It was absolutely perfect. Don't let anybody else fool you. This was some really, really good stuff. Okay. All right, we can move on to Monday Night Raw. The Raw after the Royal Rumble, ladies and gentlemen. Let's talk about it. The Raw after the Royal Rumble. Let me pull up my stuff. Was there anything else? I don't think there was anything else that necessarily happened in the Royal Rumble. Yeah, no. I mean, you're gonna see like some other stuff is gonna be like some stuff that happened in the Rumble is like, okay, we're building up to other stuff, but for the most part, you got what you got. But yes, Raw happened. You had so they open up with a Braun Breaker, Adam Pearce, LA Knight segment. And this is where Braun Breaker got injured, mind you. Braun Breaker gets a hernia by destroying the announce table. I just want to point that out for one quick second. Okay, Braun, we got to be smarter, buddy. We just have to. Like, I don't want to be that guy, but obviously I have to be that guy, right? Like, I can't just be like, oh, well, no, it's okay, Braun. No. And I mean, I do get it. Like, stuff like that will happen. Like, I don't think we're necessarily sitting here and really, like, destroying the dude for a freak accident. No, that's not what's happening. But it's just it's sad because I honestly believe that WWE had a plan for this dude leading up to WrestleMania, and I think they still do. But it's gonna be halted just a bit, right? Because what can you do with Braun? What can you do while he's out, right? So it's going to be very interesting. That's for sure. But I thought this was a very interesting segment. Braun Breaker tells Adam Pearce, "You want to ruin my moment in the Royal Rumble? No, Adam Pearce. He's going off. He's saying, he's just going off the rails. The Vision is trying to calm down Braun Breaker at this moment. Paul Heyman starts talking. He's blaming Adam Pearce. And Braun Breaker's like, Adam, I'm going to count to 3. And you better get out here right now. At 1, a 2. And then Adam Pearce comes out and says, aren't you bored? Aren't you embarrassed enough? Number two. That's all I hear. Number 2. You drew number 2. Oh, that's gonna be my new line. Number two. You drew number 2. Oh man! But I thought this was absolutely amazing. This was perfect segment. We got a video recap of the Royal Rumble as well. Bronson Reed had to pull Breaker away from Pearce's security guards. Then LA Knight. Oh, snap. Oh, LA Knight storms into the ring and attacks Logan Paul and Austin Theory with a steel chair. Breaker asks Heyman what they're doing to close this out. Oh, my goodness. All right. Yeah. To close the segment, the breakers is like, what are we doing, Heyman? Like, what are we doing? Kind of what my wife tells me. What are we doing, dude? Well, I don't know. I'm going to work. I'm going to work. And then the first match of the night was Javon Evans versus El Grande Americano with Los Americanos. This was an okay match, right? Like, Javon Evans wins by pinfall. I think that's that was gonna happen. That should have happened. Pretty good. Pretty good stuff there. For Javon to keep building him up. Wonder if they're gonna have him in the intercontinental picture. I don't know. Be interesting. Definitely gonna be interesting to see what they have for Javon. We also got a video recap of the standout performances from the NXT roster after Royal Rumble, plus the debut of Royce Keys. And they also sent a congratulations to Bad Bunny and Jelly Roll, who won multiple Grammy Awards. And then you had a Gunther and Dragon Lee segment. Gunther comes out and says, just like Bill Goldberg, just like John Cena, AJ Styles found out that when you step in the ring with a career killer, your career and legacy dies. Dragon Lee comes down and then clocks Gunther with the apron and Seguri. This is very, very, very interesting. And Dragon Lee was trying to do all these offensive moves on Gunther, and Gunther was like, no, come here, I'm gonna put you in a sleeper hold. You're going to bed. Like, oh goodness. But I honestly, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I love this character development. This character we're kind of getting from Gunther. Like, I think honestly, I really do think it's a really good story they're telling with him, and kind of what they're trying to build with him. I think it's some really good stuff. I think they need to keep on going. Now I do wonder if the last career that he kills, I wonder if that's going to be like Brock Lesnar, because Brock Lesnar's on his list. We know that already. As long as we're not oblivious to it, like, we know what's coming for Brock Lesnar. Now, I don't know if you can hit Brock with a sleeper hold. Like, I don't think that's possible. But, I mean, with Gunther, anything is possible. So, we'll see. We also seen a video recap of the Vision taking out LA Knight 2 months ago. We also got Paul Heyman walking up to Adam Pearce in the backstage area, and Heyman says that Pearce is going to book a match tonight, Braun Breaker versus LA Knight. He says, please, sir. Pearce says that he can't do it because he just walked Knight out of the building. It doesn't matter if Pearce likes a talent or not. They can't disrupt the show. And he also said if Heyman knows what's good for Braun Breaker, oh no, he would escort him out of the building as well. And Bronson Reed should be getting ready because he has a match with Penta. Heyman also asked Adam Pearce if he has any clue as to who he's speaking to and in what city. Which, they were in Philadelphia. Everybody, and I mean everybody, loves Paul Heyman in Philadelphia. EC Dub, right? Am I right? Yeah. I'm surprised nobody's used the chant, because you got EC Dub, you got AE Dub. Sorry to kind of steer away from what we were talking about, but this is very important. I'm honestly surprised nobody has used Dub E. You know, that's a very cool one. WWE. No, probably not. It probably wouldn't work. It probably wouldn't work. But then again, who knows? It might. But some of these WWE fans are just not. They're not creative for some reason. Some are. I'll give it. I'll give it where it's due. Some are, but there's some. My goodness, we gotta wonder what's going on. But coming out of the commercial break, Heyman is trying to convince Braun Breaker to leave the building. Breaker doesn't care what Adam Pearce has to say. Also, second match, which I found this very interesting, was Obafemi versus the War Raiders in a 2-on-1 handicap match. This ended in no contest. The bell never rang, but Obafemi just, destroyed both men. Which, you know what? I do wonder how everybody feels about this. Like, I think whenever you're creating this character, like you are Obafemi, you have to build it the right way. You just have to. Like, you cannot be oblivious to certain things. And sometimes people can be, and I think they did an amazing job building him up. Royal Rumble, and on Raw. Finn Balor cut a pretty good promo as well. Basically, about the Royal Rumble being full. He's not really the bad guy, but if he has to be, he will be. He's coming after the World Heavyweight Championship, right? A lot of good stuff was being said in the promo. It was like, Finn, I like what you're doing. This is another person whose contract could be up very, very soon. And it's like, oh, what are you going to be doing, right, when that contract is up? I don't think he's going to retire, but could we see Finn Balor retain? I'm sorry, resign? Or are we just like, hey, I've done everything I've could. It's time for me to move on, right? So that'll be very interesting to see as well. WWE Hall of Famer Trish Stratus will be appearing on Stephanie McMahon's What's Your Story podcast. Also, there was a segment with Nikki Bella and Brie Bella as, Brie has officially signed with WWE. Now, when she was signed with WWE, this gave everybody the idea that a certain somebody could be returning to the WWE, right? And fans, started foaming from the mouth. They're like, yeah, we want that man back. Yeah, he's ours. No, not really. He's not really yours anymore. You know what I mean? Like, calm down. Calm down. Just for a minute. Just calm down. It's what is it, Kevin Hart, when he's like, help me, help me, help me. That's exactly what that is at this point with these fans. I think Bryan Danielson is gonna stay put where he's at. Maybe I could be wrong, right? Maybe he does return to WWE for one last run. He had one last run with AEW, right, where he wins the world title. Maybe he has a 1-year run with the WWE. I don't necessarily know, because I don't know, but I'm not gonna lie. That one's a bit more difficult, because it's like, okay, yeah, that can be absolutely a possibility, but do you really want to do that? That's something. I don't know. I know Brie Bella hasn't really entertained it or anything, so. But yeah, it looks like they're going to be tag partners, Nikki Bella went from, being a solos competitor for, a little bit to now, she's going to be tagging with her sister, her twin sister once again. And I think that could be really, really interesting. This tag division is so stacked. Man, this is really fun. Some really interesting stuff. And man, I cannot wait to see what happens. You also had Penta versus Bronson Reed with division. You've seen Penta win via countout. Which is very interesting. As you know, it's interesting because again, we've seen LA Knight do what LA Knight does. LA Knight hits the BFT on Bronson Reed on the chair, and then Knight runs away. The Vision runs after. Paul Heyman is yelling at the referee, but Reed was just unable to break the referee's 10 count. Some very interesting stuff. Knight's, kind of going after the Vision, right? Knight and this masked man are kind of going after the Vision, and it's going to be interesting to see who this masked man is. Is it Seth or is it somebody else? And then, is somebody else going to be a part of this as well? You know what I mean? When I mean that, I mean like, are they going to add a third person? Or are they going to add a fourth one? Right? So some very interesting stuff. Could be Chris Jericho, right? Maybe Chris Jericho doesn't return until Seth returns, right? Like, we don't know necessarily, but we'll find out. Dominic Mysterio, Liv Morgan, Raquel Rodriguez segment. I thought this was a very good segment as well. Liv Morgan kind of celebrating, and then, Raquel kind of asking, Liv, hey, why do you eliminate me? Like, why do you do that? And Liv, straight up, like, I think she was more like, I got to play this one close to the vest. I have to play it safe, right? Raquel was starting to see what I'm trying to do. I kind of used her, which I thought it was a pretty good segment, but I'm not gonna lie, Raquel, you're kind of selfish because on that Raw you had a championship opportunity, so you shouldn't really be mad. I mean, you lost, but that's on you. But yeah, but it kind of seems like, right, we kind of see the route that they're going to be going. It's going to be interesting if they actually go that route or if they're going to go a different one. And honestly, all it's going to come down to, one thing, and it's, does WWE want to play safe? Right? That's the big thing. So, we'll see. We will see. We also had Stephanie Vaquer versus Raquel Rodriguez in a Philadelphia street fight for the WWE Women's World Championship. We've seen Stephanie Vaquer retain the championship via pinfall. So, then after the match, Morgan plants Vaquer with the Oblivion, and then she poses with the Women's World Championship. Now, obviously, there was some interference in this match. Like, it's a no DQ match. First of all, like, obviously, there's going to be some sort of interference where we've seen Roxanne. We've seen Roxanne show up in this match, and she shows up, but Vaquer just stops that. So, very, very interesting. The Roman Reigns and CM Punk segment. This was to end Monday Night Raw. I thought this was a very, very good. I thought this was a very, very good segment. Like, honestly, like, this was probably the best segment of the night. There was a lot of segments on that Raw, though. I mean, I get it. You're trying to tell stories and stuff, but you gotta have a little bit more wrestling. But this was just absolutely amazing, right? You know, Roman Reigns, he comes out, he says, Philly, acknowledge me, right? Like, come on, Philadelphia, acknowledge your tribal chief. I wonder if Paul Heyman thought for a minute, like, hey, maybe I should, go back to my tribal chief. He's owning the world right now. Once again, he has a main event spot at WrestleMania. Well, I'm stuck with these stooges of the vision. What is going on? And I do wonder if Paul Heyman was like, man, maybe I need to go back to my tribal chief. But I hope they don't do that, because right now you can kind of tell a story as Roman Reigns as champion, or as he could lose, or just the lead up to WrestleMania without your wise man, right? As you main event now WrestleMania. Now he's been there before, so this isn't unwanted territory, but he's never been there in the era of, oh, Roman Reigns is the best in the world, right? Like, this dude is on another level. We really haven't seen that. So now that we kind of get that, we get to see that, it hits different. It hits different. And that's what you kind of seen in this promo battle. It was like, oh, I see what you're doing. Okay. I like it. I like it, man. It's really, really good stuff. They had a segment. Roman Reigns, talks about how, they were in Philadelphia in what was it, 2015, I believe. Roman Reigns wins the Royal Rumble. He even has his cousin, The Rock, raise his hand, and he still got booed. He talks about all of that. And he's like, fast forward to now, and it feels good. It feels good. That's basically what Roman Reigns was saying at that moment. And it was like, yeah, like, honestly, this is a good feel. This has to be a good feel moment for not only the fans, but for Roman Reigns as well. It's like, yo, I worked so hard for this. Thank you for recognizing my hardship, my hard work. I thought it was amazing. I really did. And then, Roman's like, who should I pick? Like, should it be CM Punk? Should it be Drew McIntyre? Who do you think? Like, give me who you want me to face. Who do you want me to beat down? Who do you want me to dethrone? So I can continue to build this legacy that I'm building, right? And nobody wanted Drew McIntyre at all. Nobody. They were just like, no, we want you to face CM Punk. Right? Like, that's what the fans wanted. They want CM Punk versus Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. They know how big that would be. They know the history. They know it all. Then CM Punk comes out and he faces the camera. Like, he brushes past Roman Reigns and faces the camera and says, Finn Balor, I heard what you said. You don't think you're a bad guy? Well, I know that when I'm pushed, I am the baddest guy, and you're going to find out real soon when I get my hands on you. And Roman Reigns tells a story with his face like nobody else. Nobody else can tell a story with their face like Roman Reigns. Like, Roman Reigns will tell you everything you need to know just with a facial expression. And that's what Roman did. Roman told everybody the story that he wanted everybody to know. Right? And I thought that was very interesting. I thought that was very good, to say the least. And Roman Reigns comes out and says, you must have rung your bell or something. You coming out here interrupting my segment talking to Finn Balor? Finn Balor? Ladies and gentlemen, the Tribal Chief. Throw your ones up for the Tribal Chief one time. Tribal Chief Roman Reigns is absolutely on a whole nother level. Whole nother level, and they get into the back and forth, really an amazing back and forth. They're talking about, did you say I interrupted you? Oh, please knock it off, Roman. Right. And he's like, oh, what, you want the easy way out? Pick Drew McIntyre. Go ahead, pick him. Right. He's like, go ahead. Roman Reigns is like, hold on now. You're talking crazy. Drew McIntyre is the easy way out? Like, what? He says, hey, Phil, I don't know if you realize this or not, but Drew's like 4 times bigger than you. And he's like, I'm pretty sure the last time y'all fought, he had you crying over a little plastic bracelet. And then he points out the bracelet. He's like, yeah, I think it was that bracelet. Like, ladies and gentlemen, just from this promo battle alone, I hope you guys realize the Roman Reigns we're about to get. We are about to get a vicious Roman Reigns. Right? And then CM Punk's like, careful. Because when I was done, they had ran out of staples putting him back together. He's like, I put him in the dirt. I know you've beaten him before and faced him, but Roman, don't get this mistaken. I've put him in the dirt. And Roman Reigns is like, oh, take a number. I beat Drew for like 3 years straight. And CM Punk is like, yeah, you beat Drew. You and how many of your cousins? Then Roman Reigns, nobody can talk. Hey, you don't talk about the man's family. You don't talk about the tribal chief's family, CM Punk. Right? That's, ladies and gentlemen, this is what we're getting here. We're getting cinema. And he's like, I'd watch how you talk about my family. Remember this. We're the only reason this place is where it's at. We're the only reason you had a show and a company to come back to. Don't ever forget that. So at that point, it's like, oh, now we're getting personal. Now we're getting personal. He throws, hey, my 434 days were more impressive than your 1,316 days. Anybody believes that, you are not very smart. I'll say that. Just say that nobody believes that. Nobody. But, CM Punk goes on this rant. He's like, oh, this and that. I'm champion. I'm way better than you. My reign was more impressive than yours. And Roman Reigns is like, let's get one thing straight. You're making all these towns because you took a 10-year vacation. He's like, I'd be trying to get in as much time as you, get in as much as possible too. And then he's like, the second thing I learned from you, ? I learned from you. The only thing I learned from you is what not to do. And like, again, this is getting very, very personal. And he's like, Phil, you wouldn't be here without me. And so I made a promise to Paul, and I kept it, and I did the best I could. I really did. But I'll never forget 10 years ago or so when you go to your best friend's little podcast. Oh, my goodness. Running your mouth, making my life harder than it ever should have been. And then I let you back in here. And what do? You screw me. It's getting very personal at this point. And he's not talking to Paul, like Paul Heyman. Like at this moment, he's like Paul Levesque. Like he's talking to the big boss, Triple H. He was like, you took my wise man. You tried to brainwash my cousins. You almost brainwashed me because at War Games, I shook your hand like a man. What did we say? Zebros? Or some, you guys know the line. I shake your hand. I look at you like a man. And what do? You mock me behind my back while we're walking up the ramp like I'm some young boy. And he's like, well, guess what? I made my choice. I could pick you because you're the biggest star available. I could have picked you because you're on Netflix and you're on the best show I could, but no, I'm picking you because I hate you. Ooh. I've always hated you. And WrestleMania is going to be the best day of my life because in the main event, you will acknowledge me. Ladies and gentlemen, this sounds very, very much like a Seth Rollins and CM Punk promo where it's like, dude, I don't want you here. I don't like you. I want you gone. I don't want anything to do with you. Right? That's what kind of like it kind of feels in a way, but Roman just hits it on a different level. Like he's like, dude, like I want nothing to do with you. I don't even know why you're here at this moment. Like, and that's literally what you're kind of hearing and what you're getting from Roman in this promo battle. And it's like, dude, like this is so good. This is so good. You know, and in my opinion, I thought it was very, very good. I thought you know, they hit it right on, they hit the nail right on the nail on the coffin. Yeah, nail on the coffin. They did absolutely amazing stuff with these two, especially the main event. Like this is how you end the show. Like I understand it was another segment. Like I get that. Like that's I don't mind that, especially when you're able to execute a segment like they did, right? And now you're getting Roman Reigns versus CM Punk at the main event of WrestleMania. I think it's an amazing. They grabbed the audience by what the audience would have been grasped by, and they absolutely killed it. They killed it, dude. They killed it, and man, this is gonna be really good stuff for both men. For both men in a way, you know. However they decide to execute, however they decide to do their stuff, there's gonna be some really good stuff now, man. Some really good stuff. Ladies and gentlemen, grasp yourselves and enjoy the ride. All right, let's talk about NXT as well. She's in NXT. Shawn Michaels and Mr. Stone. They have a segment, and Mr. Stone is like, "You wanted to see me?" He's like, "Yes, I did." Stone, over the past 7 years, you've always done everything we've asked you here in NXT. Mr. Stone says, "Well, it has been my absolute pleasure, Shawn. I mean, I love NXT." And, you know, he's like, Sean's like, "Look, I know you do. That's why I want to take this opportunity to make you the new interim general manager of NXT. And Stone's like, "Really, me?" He's like, "Yeah, look, I know this place could be crazy. Between you and me, it's kind of the way I like it, all right?" Stone's like, "Thank you, sir. I won't let you down." Shawn says, "Good luck." Right? Obviously, we kind of knew. You know, there's been times where they don't replace GMs and they're just like, "All right, we're gonna deal with this on the fly." This time they did. They got a new GM, an interim at least for now. You know, with Ava gone, and this should be very interesting. I honestly think Stone fits the role perfectly. I think he's going to excel as an interim GM. I think he's going to excel so much that he can probably be the GM for a few years, however long they want him to be a GM, and however long he wants to be a GM, right? Like Ava was excellent at it too, and you know she was the GM until you know they were like, okay, right, the contract issue, right, and it's just some people are just they can do some really good stuff, and some people some can't. You know, it just depends what you're willing to do. Are you willing to get? Are you willing to get out of your comfort zone? Are you willing to be uncomfortable so you can be comfortable? Right. That's the big thing. You got to be. You got to be willing to do that. You have to be. So very happy for Stone. It's ahead Izzy Dame with the Culling versus Lola Vice versus Thea Hale in a triple threat match for the WWE NXT Women's North American Championship. And we've seen Izzy Dame win and retain her NXT North American Championship via pinfall. We're also seeing that NXT will be returning to center stage in Atlanta, Georgia on February 24th. They had the Tony D'Angelo segment. So, you guys know how I feel about it. Tony D'Angelo. We'll see what he's able to, give us. A Jasper Troy promo happened as well. And then you got Elio LaFleur versus Charlie Dempsey in the WWE's Men's Speed Championship Tournament match. Elio LaFleur won via pinfall. You have the Elegance brand with Ash by Elegance and George Iceman versus Soruka and Zaria for a TNA Knockouts World Tag Team Championship. We've seen the Elegance brand win via pinfall. So yeah, still some disconnect between Zaria and Soruka. I really hope this isn't the route they're gonna. Man, I mean, it's a good story. Don't get me wrong. Like if that's the route they're gonna go of, like, okay, the powerhouse versus the future, kind of, right? And I think they're both gonna be futures in WWE. They're gonna have a very bright future. But man, I just love the connection they have, the chemistry, and I would hate for that to be taken away, just to have a feel good feud, right, for 2 to 3 months. But again, I don't make the calls. I'm not in charge, so if that's what they want to do, they're gonna do it. Stacks and Lexus King with Ariana Grace versus Chase University with Andre Chase. Stacks and Lexus King win via pinfall. JC Jane, Zaria, Ren Sinclair, Kendall Gray, Soruka, and Mr. Stone segment. Right, and this is a pretty good segment. We know that NXT Roadblock returns to the theater at Madison Square Garden on March 31st. We also seen that next week on NXT, Blake Monroe will battle Jada Parker. And that, Mr. Stone says, he has the solution. And that's everything that they will love the solution, right? He says, my first act as interim GM is going to be Ren QCC versus Zaruka, and whoever gets the pinfall for their team in 3 weeks, live from Atlanta, Georgia, is going to go one-on-one against JC Jane for the NXT Women's Championship. And then you have the main event, right? We had the ladder match, which it was Ricky Saints versus Joe Hendry versus Canoe Carver versus Jackson Drake versus Shiloh Hill versus Sean Legacy versus Dion Lennox in a ladder match for the vacated WWE NXT Championship, where Joe Hendry won. Really good match, but Joe Hendry does win. He becomes the new WWE NXT champion. Good for Joe Hendry. So that was NXT. Let's look at AEW Dynamite for a minute. Let's look at AEW Dynamite, right, of last week. So we had AEW Dynamite. We've seen the Death Riders versus the Don Callis family. And the Don Callis family did win Which, it's kind of a ongoing feud for both of them right now. It's going to be interesting to see what's the end game for that one. They also gave us a look back at Andrade and Idolo beating Swerve Strickland last week on Dynamite before heading backstage to hear from the man himself. Prince Nana says their focus is where it's always at the top of all elite wrestling. He says losing one match doesn't. There was some technical difficulties. Sorry about that. I don't know what happened there. I don't know what happened, but okay. He says losing one match doesn't mean they've lost sight of that. They're not going anywhere. Silent Swerve simply saunters off as commentary hypes up the lineup for tonight. There was an update on Will Ospreay as well. Look back at Will Ospreay following his recent surgery, looking back on his career in AEW in the hope of returning to where the best wrestle. The commentators say they don't know when yet, but they know Ospreay is working hard and will be returning to AEW. Look, if they put that video package out, I'm gonna tell y'all right now, Will Ospreay is closer than we think. I think obviously they're not gonna spoil the return of Will Ospreay, but they're gonna hype it up. They're gonna let fans know, hey, guys, I'm gonna tell you guys right now, he's coming back. Ospreay, right? Ladies and gentlemen, I'm telling you, one thing I want for AEW this year, whatever happens as the programming goes, and the programming has been absolutely perfect for AEW so far this year. But if there's one thing, especially that AEW World Title picture, if there's one thing that I cannot wait for, the return of Will Ospreay, and if what's his name? I'm sorry. If AJ Styles, debuts in AEW, ladies and gentlemen, I'm telling you right now, AEW is going to be on another level, bruv. No. Oh man, but that would be great. Also, Orange Cassidy and Timeless Tony Storm versus Jordan Oasis and Brittany Brooks. We've seen Orange Cassidy and Timeless Tony Storm win. And obviously we know we're gonna have a hair on the line match, which is upcoming at Grand Slam Australia. The War Dogs abduct Darby Allin. AEW tends to do these very crime affiliated segments, like Bryan Danielson getting a bag over his head, killing him on national television. Abducting Darby Allin. Guys, what are we doing here? Why are we doing this? But it's honestly though, it's good. It's good. I like what they're doing with Darby. I like what they're doing with Gabe Kidd as well. They're doing some really good stuff. I cannot continue to wait to see what they do. There's gonna be some really really good stuff, and they're really executing at it. So we've seen Hangman Page versus Mark Davis. Hangman Page wins. And then you had Kenny Omega versus Andrade El Idolo, where Andrade El Idolo did win. He defeated Kenny Omega. Back-to-back really, really strong weeks for Andrade. You know, he beats Swerve, right? And now he beats Kenny. So now, you know, I thought that was really good. And it looks like Kenny and Swerve are gonna have their own segments because, you know, Don Callis and his family, his filth of a family, were trying to, you know, cheat. Swerve goes to make the save. Kenny does not like it. He says, like, dude, what are you doing? I had this. And Swerve's like, oh, I don't think you did. I don't think you did. And they get into a, you know, back and forth. And it's gonna be interesting to see what happens now between Kenny and Swerve. That's gonna be really, really good. Because that's something we haven't seen yet, you know? And I love that for Kenny. Like, yeah, absolutely. Like, your time with MJF is going to come. But we've seen that. We have seen that. Give us this, what we haven't seen, which is you versus Swerve. That's what we want, you know? And then the Babes of Wrath versus Mega Bad. Winners and new number one contenders, Mega Bad. Tommaso Ciampa, TNT title victory. Highlights are shown. Backstage, we see Ciampa holding his newly won title. He calls the title Sylvie. He says Sylvie doesn't plan on leaving him for a very long time and vows to keep the open challenge alive this Saturday. He says he will defend against Roderick Strong and Claudio Castagnoli. Scorpio Sky versus Kevin Knight in a parking lot brawl with the Rascals. Kingston and Ortiz versus the Grizzled Young Veterans. And Big Bill and Brian Keith is also announced for AEW Collision that week. The AEW National Championship was also on the line, where you've seen Ricochet defending it against Jungle Boy Jack Perry. And, you know, winner and still AEW National Champion, Ricochet. Really good match. I thought Jack Perry was going to win it, but if he didn't, I wonder what's next for him. I do wonder what's going to be next for him, you know, because Luchasaurus is still out, unless there's something we don't know. But yeah, I do wonder what's the plan now for him, right? Does he go after something or somebody else? Like, that's going to be really interesting to kind of see what they do with that. And the AEW World Championship Eliminator, MJF versus Brody King. Really a squash match. You know, this happened so fast. But thanks to Hangman Adam Page for the distraction that Brody, you know, was able to do what he did. Don't see nothing wrong with it. I know a lot of people were kind of, you know, complaining about it. And it's like, dude, like, I mean, people complain about everything, though. So it's like, it's kind of the norm. Like, yeah, let's complain about this, dude, because we don't like it. Like, no. Ladies and gentlemen, just let things happen, dude. Like, sure, you don't like it, but, like, this was the route that they needed to go. Because, like, I think MJF is going to beat Brody, but first he had to lose to Brody. And the only way you can do that without your champion looking weak is how? Please tell me. Enlighten me. I want to know. Because I'm about to tell you guys. The only way you can do this without your champion looking weak is a distraction. And him absolutely being caught off guard. And that is what AEW did with Brody King and MJF. By having Hangman be the distraction. Ladies and gentlemen, it's right there for you. We can't keep feeding you. Eventually, you know, you got to feed yourselves. So, you know, remember that. Remember that. All right. Then we had SmackDown. Last week. Oh yeah, I guess you could say this week because this week's SmackDown hasn't happened yet. So yeah, you can kind of say this week's SmackDown. I thought it was good, for the most part, right? You know, there's times, right? There's obviously times where you're just like, oh my god, what is going on here? But I thought for the most part, I thought they did some really good stuff. They just worked everything out to the best advantage. And in my opinion, they killed it. So let's talk about it. So yeah, they opened the show with the Drew McIntyre and Cody Rhodes segment, which I thought was a very, very, very good segment by both men. Right? Drew gets attacked. Drew gets jumped by Cody during his entrance. McIntyre would run towards the backstage area, and Rhodes stormed into the ring and grabbed a microphone. And this was absolutely perfect. Cody Rhodes goes, Drew McIntyre, you think things are gonna be the same? You're just gonna come down to the ring smiling, title in tow. Drew, things will never be the same. You eliminated me from the Royal Rumble, a match that you weren't even in. This is by your own design. This is a self-fulfilling prophecy. For the first time in my career, Drew, I can't, in good consciousness, point at that sign. And speaking of that sign, this past Monday, I watched two of the very best, two men I respect, Roman Reigns and CM Punk, not just declare their hatred, but their championship match. And as the biggest WWE fan, I was excited. But why, when this is an amazing moment, has concluded, is my name the first name that comes out of your mouth? It's simple. It's because people know that what WrestleMania means to me. What I mean to WrestleMania. Besides, I heard that it was going to be a what measuring contest. Well, they're both glad I'm not in it, because I didn't get the nickname Raheem for no reason. Like, dude, Cody, what is going on? What Raheem? Cody Raheem Rhodes. I thought that was great. I loved that he mentioned the Raheem. Oh my goodness. It was absolutely perfect. Yes. Yes, man. Absolutely. Just go all out with it. Let them know who you are, Raheem. Let them know who you are, Raheem. Come on. We know what you are. We know who you are. Just show them. Just show them. You know what I mean? Like, come on now. But I thought that was very good. I thought that was very good. I loved it. From the standpoint of, like, Cody's just throwing shots kind of at everybody. Roman, Punk, Drew. Even a little bit of Jacob Fatu as well. Because Jacob Fatu is going to get it. He's like, Charlotte, North Carolina. What do you want to talk about? He was born in that city. He started bringing, talking about a whole bunch of things from the past, but he was very serious about it. He's like, Drew, you won't make it to WrestleMania. Don't worry. Your downfall is coming. I'm like, oh my goodness. What's going on here? But no, really good segment from Cody. I loved it. I thought this was very, very good. Yes. Keep it going. Kathy Kelly had a backstage interview with Julia and Kiana James. Kiana says that the women's tag team championships are just a stepping stone to Julia becoming a triple champion. The Royal Rumble just a blimp. Julia is right where they projected tonight. They're going to win the tag titles. She'll go on to win the Elimination Chamber, then face the champion at WrestleMania. Oh my goodness. Nobody believes that, but okay. And then coming out of commercial break, we see Nick Aldis kind of scolding Cody Rhodes. He knows that Cody wants to get his hands on Drew McIntyre. He wants to be the WWE champion again, but there's only one way to make that happen, and that's winning the Elimination Chamber. Cody will have to win the qualifying match Nick puts him in next week. Nick tells Cody to control his emotions, because if he can't, he'll have to rethink that. Cody tells Nick that he'll leave the building, and he'll see him in Dallas. This was very interesting. Because again, Nick Aldis again for like the second time or whatever is like, Cody, I need you to kind of lock in. I need you to control your emotions. What's going on? You know, because if not, we got to take all of this away from you. I thought that was very interesting as well. We see Rhea Ripley and Io Sky versus Julia and Kiana James for the WWE Women's Tag Team Championships. We seen Rhea Ripley and Io Sky win via pinfall. We also see Carmelo Hayes versus The Miz. We seen Carmelo Hayes defeat The Miz. Bo Dallas did a promo. And he's Solo, you took the lantern and left us in the dark. Not because you wanted to be alone, but because you're scared of being left alone. Scared of standing in the dark all by yourself. So you hold the light tight, hoping it keeps everyone close. But it won't, because fear doesn't show up when everyone is together. Fear shows up when you're all alone. Bars. Bars. Then you had Tiffany Stratton versus Chelsea Green with Alba Fire versus Lash Legend with Nia Jax in a women's elimination chamber qualifying match, which would have Tiffany Stratton win via pinfall. Looks like maybe Aleister Black and Randy Orton might be having a segment happening soon. Or maybe, might finally get the Randy Orton and Cody Rhodes match we've been all wanting. We've seen the WWE 2K26 trailer. I'm not convinced on it yet. I got to see a little bit more. But hopefully, I get convinced to get it. They also showed the NXT Royal Rumble video package. And then you had Obafemi versus Kit Wilson. Yes, boy. Obafemi won via pinfall, obviously. And then you had a Drew McIntyre and Jacob Fatu segment. And Jacob Fatu ambushes McIntyre. Another ambush. Oh, my goodness. From behind before he could even talk. Fatu nails McIntyre with a running hip attack. Fatu clotheslines McIntyre over the top rope. And Fatu lands the suicide dive. Fatu is raining down haymakers. Fatu starts laying out security guards and tearing off the announce desk. Everything is just breaking loose in Charlotte. Fatu clocks McIntyre with a big right hand. McIntyre scampers out to the backstage area, and then coming out of commercial break, Nick Aldis is scolding. Now he's scolding Jacob Fatu. He gave him the same message he gave Cody Rhodes. If he wants, if he wants to get his hands on Drew McIntyre, he has to qualify for the Elimination Chamber match. He tells Jacob to go home or he could kiss that chance goodbye. Jacob tells Aldis to line them all up then. Yeah, what I mean? Because he's going to dog walk them. And then Fatu leaves the building. Fatu! That's right. Shinsuke Nakamura versus Tama Tonga with the MFTs. Where we've seen Tama Tonga win via pinfall. SmackDown will be moving to Sci-Fi for the next 2 weeks. We've seen Liv Morgan have a segment, Nick Aldis, Raquel Rodriguez, Jay Cargill, Jordan Grace. Pretty good segment. I thought it was very good. Love what they were doing with Liv, like they're milking it. They're letting her, let's see what the kind of... I know they probably already know what the best situation is for her, but the fact that they're just letting it play out, I think is very, very good. It's going to be interesting. And then they had Jade Cargill and Jordan Grace versus the Judgment Day. Jade Cargill and Jordynne Grace won via pinfall. That's what happened there. And then it was announced that Jade Cargill will be defending the WWE Women's Championship against Jordynne Grace next week. And then we had a Drew McIntyre and Trick Williams segment. And Drew McIntyre is honestly he is one of the best, man. He just gets it, right? And we've seen that. He says, I came here tonight with something to say, and I'm going to say it, right? He says, first of all, Cody Rhodes and Jacob Fatu should be banned from the Elimination Chamber qualifying matches for attacking me like cowards. And Sami Zayn, you believed he was going to win the big one. So many people believed Sami was going to win the big one, but I crushed him. It was broken dreams for him. Ooh. And that's what's going to happen to anybody that gets in the ring with Drew McIntyre. Let's talk about Monday night, shall we? CM Punk and Roman Reigns. I heard what you had to say, guys, and quite frankly, I was disappointed. Yeah, the OTC and CM Punk, for such big superstars, came across to me as a very, very insecure, and I mean, they would take a dig at me, and then the other one would defend me by just telling the truth, shutting down their argument, and talking about me. Doesn't upset me. I don't care. Talk about me all day long. What frustrated me was trying to make this brand and this title feel second rate. For the SmackDown roster, if you didn't see that as a declaration for war, if you don't wrestle every match like it's your last match, I'll show your, to the door. As for the title, what did you say, Punk? The man makes the title. The title makes the man. This man has been through everything to get this title. This man never quit. When times get tough or went went part-time, I would never go part-time. I was there when the world shut down, and I've earned this title. However, the man that made this title, the San Martinos, the Hogans, the Bret Harts, the Shawn Michaels, the not Dusty Rhodes, oh my goodness, the Triple H's, the Stone Colds, the Rocks, real men. It would have been funny too if he would have been like, and not the Rocks. Because of Roman. But, cool. But, I mean, and he's like, and he continues, he says, if you try to lie to yourself and say this ain't the number one title, I would look you right in the eye and call you a bold-faced liar. And Roman, I get it, bro. I know why you picked Punk. One on hand, you have a 280-pound Scottish War Machine. On the other hand, you have that tattooed sociopath, Fragile Phil, who's always one fall away from his career being over. Without your Samoan army, I'd kill you. You made the best choice for you, so good luck at WrestleMania. When you two are out there acting like a couple little boys and aura farming, me, I got the entire roster claiming over each other to get in the Elimination Chamber for the right to face the number one champion, the undisputed champion, the real best in the world, in the main event of WrestleMania. Trick Williams comes out and says, hey, yo, Drew, I figured I would come out here, watch the main event, maybe kick up my lemon pepper steppers, and watch this qualifying match. Why am I saying that in Trick Williams' voice? It kind of has a little... That was nice, though. Kick up my lemon pepper steppers. Oh, man. I'll tell you what, Trick Williams is literally climbing into my top 5 of favorite wrestlers right now. And then it hit me. Drew, you're worried about all the wrong things. You're worried about Roman Reigns, Cody Rhodes, CM Punk, Jacob Fatu, Raheem. Let me give you some advice, dog. You need to worry about the future of the business. The most qualified man on SmackDown. I'm talking about Trick Williams. Trick Willie? Because Trick Williams is the man that's going to take that title from you at WrestleMania. Oh, yeah, let's talk about it. This was absolutely amazing. This was absolutely amazing. Oh my goodness. Jay Uso is a special guest on Cody Rhodes What You Want to Talk About podcast. AJ Styles had a deep conversation with Stephanie McMahon on What's Your Story podcast. Plus, the Bella Twins are special guests on Impulsive. Next week on SmackDown, Trick Williams battles Ray Phoenix. Rhea Ripley and Io Sky will put their WWE Women's Tag Team Championships on the line against Nia Jax and Lash Legend, and we'll have 2 Elimination Chamber qualifying matches. Cody Rhodes takes on Jacob Fatu and Sami Zayn in the other qualifying match. Alexa Bliss will battle Julia and Zelina Vega. Plus, Jade Cargill puts her WWE Women's Championship on the line against Jordan Grace. And then Kathy Kelly had a backstage interview with Solo Sikoa. Solo is completely distraught because the MFTs are nowhere to be found. We got multiple Wyatt Sticks graphics. As Solo was talking to Kathy, Solo says that the MFTs better be out there. Solo is shifting his focus to the main event. So I really stacked SmackDown for next week. Trick Williams versus Ray Phoenix, right? Rio. The 2 Elimination Chamber qualifying matches. I want to talk about that real quick because I probably will forget. I don't think Cody or Jacob will win. I mean, maybe they'll win, but what if they don't? What if they're doing something else? What if Sami Zayn wins a qualifying match? What if Sami Zayn wins the Elimination Chamber? What if Sami Zayn is going to face Drew McIntyre at WrestleMania and beat Drew McIntyre for the WWE Undisputed Championship? What if we get a Fatal 4-Way or a Triple Threat? What if it's Cody Rhodes versus Sami Zayn versus Drew McIntyre? What if it's Jacob Fatu versus Drew McIntyre versus Cody Rhodes versus Sami Zayn? There's so many possibilities, but I think everybody's kind of sleeping on Sami, and it wouldn't surprise me if Drew McIntyre made it did a distraction, costing Cody to lose. It would not surprise me at all. And then you had Randy Orton versus Aleister Black with Zelina Vega versus Solo Sikoa in a men's Elimination Chamber qualifying match, where we seen Randy Orton win via pinfall. Yes. So, yeah. Yep. That was the main event. That was the end of the show. So let's move on to Collision. Let's talk about Collision real quick. And this is the last one we're going to talk about that we can preview. Actually, no. You know what? No. I was going to stop at... I'm not going to lie. I was going to stop at Collision. I wasn't going to preview Raw or NXT because I want to leave it for next week. But you know what? We are absolutely 100% going to talk about Raw and NXT. We could do a quick one. But yes, AEW Collision, and congratulations to Tommaso Ciampa on becoming the TNT champion. Congratulations. We've seen the Young Bucks versus GOA. The Young Bucks would win. They would end up getting the victory as they get closer to possibly having a shot at them tag titles. We also see Scorpio Sky versus Kevin Knight. Kevin Knight did win. We've seen Hook cut a pre-tape. It was a pre-tape cutting a promo about how a few weeks ago the Ops were on top of the world, holding the trios and world title. Now that Joe is out with the injury, Joe has appointed Hook as the leader of the Ops until his return. Mina made her entrance. They showed her teaming with Viva Van at New Japan Pro Wrestling Windy City Riot in 2024, indicating that they had history. I thought that was very good that they showed that they had history, Also, Mina versus Viva Van did happen, and Mina did win. The Death Riders, Marina Shafir and Willie Ruda with John Moxley versus Skyflight, Dante Martin, and Zeta Steel with Christopher Daniels and Darius Martin. The Death Riders did win this match. I love what Jamie Hayter and Alex Winsdor, what they're doing. I absolutely love what they're doing. As you know, their tag name will be the Brawling Birds. Then you had Delka versus Brittany Brooks. And Delka did win, obviously. And then you had the parking lot brawl. Eddie Kingston, Ortiz, Rascals versus Big Bill, Brian Keith, and the Grizzled Young Veterans. Amazing match that ended with Eddie Kingston, Ortiz, and the Rascals winning. Then you had the main event with TNT Championship on the line. Tommaso Ciampa versus Roderick Strong versus Claudio Castagnoli. And we seen Tommaso Ciampa retain his TNT Championship. Kyle Fletcher comes out as Ciampa was celebrating. He grabbed the TNT title and handed it back to Ciampa. Fletcher said that he wanted to walk into his home country in Sydney, Australia next week with the Heroes Welcome, and he challenged Ciampa to a match for the TNT Championship on Dynamite next week so that he can enter AEW Grand Slam Australia next Saturday as champion. I thought Collision was pretty good for what it was. In my opinion, I think so. All right, let's discuss Monday Night Raw. Let's talk about Raw real quick. Talk about Monday Night Raw for a second. We seen the Becky Lynch and AJ Lee segment. For that, Michael Cole informed us that Braun Breaker will be out of action indefinitely following a recent injury he suffered last week. Obviously, we talked about that earlier in the show. Becky Lynch, AJ Lee kind of had their segment. And, they had their segment and they agreed to a match at Elimination Chamber in Chicago. Right? I thought this was some very, very good stuff. I thought it was very, very good. And this could be very, very good, honestly. Right? So we're going to get Becky Lynch versus AJ Lee for the women's intercontinental title match at the Elimination Chamber. It's being reported as well that there's going to be a 2-part match. So they're going to have a match at Elimination Chamber, then they'll have one at WrestleMania, and I guess conclude the feud then. An amazing segment, amazing pro. I know people are hating on it, but again, IWC, they're just not real people, so it's okay. The Usos versus Alpha Academy for the World Tag Team Championships, and we've seen the Usos retain the tag titles. Brian Saxton had a post-match interview with the Usos with WrestleMania on the horizon. What's next for the Usos? Jay gives his big props to Alpha Academy. And, he said, what's next for the Usos? They're going to remain the best tag team in the game. Jimmy tells Jay he needs to qualify for the Elimination Chamber, win the Elimination Chamber, then be main event Jay Uso again at WrestleMania. And then say, Cleveland, if you're down with that. 4 letters, 1 word. Yay. Due to the Winter Olympics in Italy, SmackDown will be airing on Sci-Fi over the next couple of weeks. So that's what we got going there. I'm just going to say this. Jey Uso needs to be very far away from this world title picture. He does not need to be in it. Leave it alone. Let him be a tag team. And I'm sure they will. I don't think he's going to win. But I don't know. We've seen crazier things happen. The Judgment Day and Stephanie Vaquer segment, an amazing segment between all three. I thought it was very, very good. It definitely seems like Liv is pulling towards challenging for Steph's title. But I don't think it's going to be just yet. But yeah. Rhea Ripley versus Lyra Valkyria versus Ivy Nile in a women's elimination chamber qualifying match. And yeah, Rhea Ripley. Rhea Ripley won via pinfall. Stone Cold Steve Austin will be making special appearances at WWE World during WrestleMania 42 weekend in Las Vegas, Nevada. A lot of stuff happened in this segment where, you know, they were in the Judgment Day clubhouse, and Liv is trying to pick up Dominic's spirit by saying that he has a Elimination Chamber qualifying match next week. Dom mentions that he still has to defend the Intercontinental Championship. Raquel Rodriguez tells Dom to go talk to Finn Balor. Dom knows that Punk is still down, that Finn, is still down about losing to CM Punk and Belfast, but JD McDonough is coming back soon, and they should recapture the world tag titles, and all is going to be good in the world. Balor thought he made it clear he's not done with Punk. He wants the World Heavyweight Championship. Dom understands where Finn is coming from, but everybody is talking about Roman Reigns and CM Punk at WrestleMania, and he says maybe his time has gone. Finn says that he's tired of being an afterthought. He thought they were supposed to be a family and decides to walk away. It definitely feels like we're nearing that moment. Might be getting, obviously we're getting Finn versus Dom, right? That we would think at WrestleMania, right? So hopefully we're getting close to the end of this Judgment Day stuff. And then, CM Punk, Finn Balor, Adam Pearce, Michael Cole had a segment. This was some really, really good stuff. It's really, really, really good stuff. And, they got announced that, CM Punk and Finn Balor will face each other for the World Heavyweight Championship at the Elimination Chamber. So I thought this was really good as well. Really good segment. Really, really good stuff from Finn, from CM Punk. And, Punk kind of went at Roman as well in this segment as well. Not only Finn, but, it's really, really, really good, man. Really good. We also seen Paul Heyman again with Adam Pearce. Seen that segment with the Vision as well. We also seen Natty versus Maxine Dupree and then a double countout. LA Knight did a promo as well. Javon Evans in the original El Grande Americano versus Los Americanos with El Grande Americano. And Javon Evans in the original El Grande Americano won via pinfall. Then Byron Saxton had a backstage interview with Gunther. He couldn't care less about Dragon Lee. His sole focus is on WrestleMania. Byron mentions that Gunther's road to WrestleMania begins next week in his Elimination Chamber qualifying match. Gunther calls Byron Captain Obvious. The reality is Gunther's road to WrestleMania should have started when he dragged that old yeller Goldberg behind the bar. It should have been cemented when he made John Cena do one thing he said he would never do and put AJ Styles to sleep. Instead, it starts next week. But don't worry, the result is going to be the same. Gunther says that he's walking out of WrestleMania the new WWE champion. Obafemi also did a promo as well. Next week on on Raw from Memphis, Tennessee. Gunther will collide with Javon Evans and Dominic in a men's elimination chamber qualifying match. AJ Lee will be on Raw as well. And Bayley takes on Natty and Asuka in a women's elimination chamber qualifying match as well. You had LA Knight versus Penta versus Austin Theory with Paul Heyman in a men's elimination chamber qualifying match. Where we've seen LA Knight win via pinfall. And we've seen the mystery, the Masked Man again. The Masked Man made another appearance. You know, he goes on and he attacks, or at least attempts to. No, he attacks. He attacks Austin Theory. Right, and you know, doing what he does best, costing them the win. What are you gonna do though, right? Like, eventually, like, somebody has to stop him, or at least he has to, like, somebody has to unmask this dude eventually. But until somebody can do that, he's living his best life right now. He is absolutely like, hey, until you guys can, you know, catch me, unmask me, I'm doing great. As long as it's better than the Austin Theory one. That's the only thing I'll say. But yeah, you know, and then it was honestly, it was perfect because, like, everybody was out there, Logan, Adam Pearce, so you really don't know who the Masked Man is now, but, like, you know, to do what he did to Theory, and then, you know, he nailed Theory with he super kicked him and then hit him with a curb stomp on the floor, and then the Vision ran after him. I mean, that made it absolutely perfect. I know a lot of people aren't happy because, oh, you're burying Theory, but you got to tell the story somehow. You know, you have to. I don't know. I don't know how people want stories to be told if you don't go through these things. It's that simple. It is that simple. And then we had NXT. Right? Had NXT, you know, champion Joe Hendry, Jada Parker had a promo. Yeah, some good stuff happening. We also had Blake Monroe versus Jada Parker, which ended in the double countout. It was whatever. Tatum Paxley vignette. Kale Dixon confronts Uriah Connors for walking out on Chase University last week. The wanted man from the upcoming Psycho Killer movie is sitting in the crowd. Movie comes out in theaters on February 20th. Josh Briggs versus Eli Knight in a WWE Men's Speed Championship tournament match. Eli Knight won via pinfall. Tony D'Angelo, Dark State, The Culling, OTM, Hank and Tank segment. Some pretty cool stuff there. We'll see. We'll see what the end game is to that. We also had Joe Hendry versus Jackson Drake with the Vanity Project for the WWE Evolve Championship. We've seen the WWE NXT Championship, and Joe Hendry won via pinfall, still WWE NXT Champion, and Ricky Saints attacked Joe Hendry after the match. And then he posed with the NXT Championship. I thought this was really, really, really good. You're telling a really good story. And then Hank and Tank versus the Vanity Project. The Vanity Project won via pinfall. And then Soruka and Zarya won via pinfall. Soruka is the number one contender for the So Ruka is now the number one contender for the WWE Women's NXT Championship. Ruka definitely was not happy about that. She was very frustrated, very in shock and disgusted. But hey, Zarya, you got to do better, man. Should have been attentive. But this is going to be very interesting to see what exactly happens. And then AEW Dynamite, man. Let's talk about AEW Dynamite and AEW Australia. Let's talk about it. Because AEW Dynamite is tonight. So we definitely have to talk about that. And then this Saturday is AEW Australia. Let's see. It's pretty stacked, though. I'm not going to lie. Pretty stacked. So you have the Cosmic Killer, Chris Statlander versus the Toxic Spider Thelka for the AEW Women's World Championship strap match. One second. Something just happened. Okay. Psycho Killer, Tommaso Ciampa versus the Protostar, Kyle Fletcher for the TNT Championship. The Rascals versus the Young Bucks versus a wildcard team for the AEW World Tag Team Championships. Number one contenders match. I wonder if Edge and Christian Cage shows up. Adam Copeland and Christian Cage. And then you have Kenny Omega and Swerve Strickland going face to face. So very good stuff. Very interesting. Very good Dynamite, to say the least. And other stuff should happen. And AEW's been killing it, man. They've been doing some really good stuff. Tommaso Ciampa becoming not world champion, TNT champion was good as well. And let's look at Grand Slam Australia. That should be pretty fun. Let's see what they have lined up for that. Okay. Of course. Hey, okay, here we go. I was like, oh my goodness. Don't tell me they don't have anything. Okay, so you have MJF versus Brody King for the AEW World Championship. Hangman Adam Page versus Andrade El Idolo for a shot at the AEW World Championship. I think that's for Revolution. Tony Storm and Orange Cassidy versus Marina Shafir and Wheeler Yuta in a tornado tag match. The person who is pinned or submitted will have their head shaved. Marina, I'm sorry, you're going to have to take one for the team. I mean, Tony could do it. Orange Cassidy could definitely do it. But Wheeler Yuta needs to keep his hair. Willow Nightingale and Harley Cameron versus Megan Bayne and Penelope Ford for the AEW Women's Tag Titles. So, pretty stacked card. I wonder if we'll see AJ, unless they're going to wait till... They'll probably wait till Revolution or Double or Nothing or something like that. But yeah, that should be very interesting, to say the least. Should be very, very interesting. So I got some stuff here for you guys before I go. This has been a very, very long podcast. My goodness. But hey, this is what we do. This is what we do, man. Peter Rosenberg, I got a bone to pick with you. He says he spoke to AJ Styles after his match with Gunther, and Styles is definitely retired and won't be wrestling again. Just to be clear, I know AJ went back in the ring and he went up there and took in the second round of applause. I spoke to AJ. It is very much the end. This is it for AJ Styles. He is not the type of guy to go back on his word when he says he's having a match with his career on the line. I'm going to need you to never do that again, Peter. I don't like that you guys are trying to make AJ like this bad. Because if he goes back on his word, if he does want to have another match in WWE, AEW, TNA, wherever it is, now he's like this bad guy. And nah, that's not cool. Mm-mm. That is not cool at all. Last time AJ Styles won a pay-per-view match Well, Survivor Series 2022. That is so sad. Um, Big E has confirmed that he has retired. He said, "I'm content in wrestling. Never say never, but right now, I'm retired. That for me is it. I'm focused on other things right now." Ricochet infuriated a lot of WWE people following his recent comments about WWE ruining his legacy. I mean, he did. I mean, they did. They ruined his legacy. So, yeah. According to those who according to those spoken to, the belief is that AJ Styles is not done wrestling in some capacity. That was Fightful Select that had put that out there. Let's see. Let's see what else I got for you guys. So I got a little update on Braun Breaker. It's gonna probably be out for 12 weeks or at worst 6 months. I think Braun Breaker's an amazing athlete. He's a freak. I think he'll be back for Mania. But if it's something that's like not recommended to do or he can't do, then yeah, we probably won't see him for WrestleMania. But I think he'll be able to. A source indicated to Body Slam that Bianca Belair is currently on a list internally with a tag that has no return date designated, but confirmed self-made report that WWE believes she will be involved at WrestleMania in some fashion. Another source indicated to Body Slam that the rehab and recovery process for Belair has been rough, and they have never seen anything like it. There have been a lot of complications, but Belair is said to have kept a positive mindset throughout this entire ordeal. Hopefully, she get back. She's greatly missed. But we'll see, man. We'll see if she'll be back or not. This is kind of a weird situation. Um. So yeah. Roman Reigns has some confirmed dates. March 2nd, March 16th, March 23rd, March 30th, and April 13th. So he might show up for February, but as of right now, he has no February dates. But we'll see. We shall see. Other news. Let's see. AJ Styles and WWE had discussed a new deal, but as the Royal Rumble got closer and that was not locked in, the decision was made to go with the Gunther match. The two sides are still discussing AJ's future with the company, but a new deal has not been heard about. If AJ's existing contract lapses, he could be free to listen to offers from elsewhere, but there haven't been rumblings heard that he is seeking to get back in the ring anytime in the near future. Mike Johnson of PW Insider Elite has reported that. Kenny Omega has said, maybe I could main event until I'm dead, but what follows after if I haven't built anybody or I haven't had a hand in helping the next generation rise up? That's more so my role now than it's ever been. We need to trust our future. There are people who need these experiences. They need to learn and evolve as performers. We can't keep relying on the same small knit group of people that have a track record of success. We need to be cohesive of what we're doing and going forward. Which, I agree with Kenny on that. Don't be a Ric Flair. AJ Lee versus Becky Lynch, again, like I was saying earlier, is reportedly still planned for WrestleMania. Despite being set for Elimination Chamber, I was expecting this match at Mania, but I was told there's a reason it's here and the story goes into Mania. I go, wow, I thought this was going to be at Mania, and it's like, don't worry, it all plays out to get there. Dave Meltzer has said. Um, let's see, what else do I have for you guys? Um, that Bianca Belair report's kind of throwing me off a bit. That's weird. Ricky Saints will be in WWE 2K26, and his model looks absolutely amazing. If you haven't seen it, go to Fightful. You can kind of check it out. It does look amazing. Good for Ricky. It looked like Johnny Gargano was going to get sent to NXT, but there's been reports that him and Candice's contract might be coming up soon. And, Tommaso Ciampa commented under one of Johnny's posts, I believe, and he said, I've been texting and calling you. Man, Candice says you're not looking good. So I do wonder. I do wonder what is that going to be like, because it's interesting, right? If Johnny and Candice's contracts are up, well, we're in a pretty good spot of what we probably know what's going to happen. And I'm not gonna lie, I would love that. I would love that. So the match is confirmed for CM Punk's WWE 2K26 Showcase mode. CM Punk versus JBL SummerSlam 2008. CM Punk versus Rey Mysterio Armageddon 2008. CM Punk versus Randy Orton WrestleMania XXVII. CM Punk versus The Rock Elimination Chamber 2013. CM Punk versus John Cena Raw February 25th, 2013. CM Punk versus The Undertaker WrestleMania 29. CM Punk versus Brock Lesnar, no disqualification, SummerSlam in 2013. CM Punk versus Drew McIntyre, Hell in a Cell Bad Blood 2024. CM Punk versus Seth Rollins, January 6, 2025. Of the Netflix debut, CM Punk versus Roman Reigns versus Seth Rollins, WrestleMania 41. And then fantasy matchup, CM Punk versus Eddie Guerrero, CM Punk and AJ Lee versus The Miz and Maurice, and CM Punk versus Stone Cold Steve Austin. So, Brock Lesnar will be showing up at Atlanta on Monday Night Raw in the State Farm Arena, February 23rd. Private Party is still under contract with AEW, so that's interesting. Royce Keys was at WWHQ to film What's Your Story? After it was reported he's like 7 years older than he actually is. I think people thought like he was 34, 37. Wikipedia, I guess, updated it, and he's like 40 something, like 41 or something like that. It's like, oh, wow, interesting. AEW signings additions to women's rosters. The women's roster is coming very soon. John Cena is not expected to be part of the 2026 WWE Hall of Fame. Yeah, I mean, give it a year. Give it a year or two. Give him some time. Samoa Joe was placed in concussion protocol. So, hopefully, we got Samoa Joe back soon. Braun Breaker, WWE sources optimistic he will return in time for WrestleMania 42. So, hopefully that's the case. Hopefully he's in good spirits and he gets right. Let me see. Is there anything else? I don't know, guys. We might be done. We might be done. All right. Yeah. It looks like we kind of covered everything, which honestly is great. I know this was a super long podcast. I apologize for that, but these are some things that I feel like we needed to talk about. We needed to kind of dive into everything. Um, and give you guys like a detailed an analysis. But yeah, we'll be doing this again. Maybe let's see how AEW Dynamite goes. What happens on SmackDown? I also want to see what happens on. I want to see what happens on Grand Slam. Collision this Saturday as well. I kind of want to see what happens there. If not, we'll do a podcast next week. But if some good stuff happen, or if I have some time, I'll just we can talk about SmackDown. We can talk about Dynamite. We can talk about Grand Slam Australia. Um, Maybe we'll get a Buddy Matthews appearance. We don't know. Um, you know, we'll see. We'll see how the rest of the week goes, ladies and gentlemen. I appreciate you guys. I love you guys. This is the Marc Cologne on Wrestlelite, and I see you guys again next week. Goodbye. Until next time.